All right, all right, all right. Let's see if we can do this right this time. I've got my fingers crossed. Last time we tried to do this stream, everything fell apart on me. And I think it's YouTube just doesn't like small creators. And I don't think that that's actually the truth. I think people actually think that sometimes. I think that that's why we're here today to talk about YouTube, small creators, what it takes to actually grow on the platform, and some of the adversities that we all face. I don't know if some of you guys heard that I actually got a community guideline strike this past month that was just threw me for a loop out of nowhere. Hey to everybody in the chat room. Good to see you guys out there. I appreciate you stopping by. And I appreciate Andrew Can for being patient with me as always. Yeah, I got a community guideline strike. They accused me of trying to teach people how to steal Filmora software. Imagine that. I don't know if you guys know that, but I'm the first and only brand ambassador for Filmora. So it was a weird situation where I had to kind of work my way through it and figure out how to appeal this strike that I'd been hit with. I don't know where the complaint came from. What's up, Sam Vlogs? Good to see you, pal. And I was able to get it overturned, and it made me really start thinking about YouTube as a whole and what creators have to go through sometimes in order to be successful on the platform. And I know it can be scary. I think a lot of creators think that the platform is keeping their channel down, or that it only prefers larger channels that make money for YouTube, and small creators don't get a chance. So a lot of that I want to talk to you guys about, some perspective in here. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some of my own personal story here, because I'm a guy who this time last year had under 1,000 subscribers. I just broke 40,000. And my channel has done really well in the past year. But this time last year, I had 950 subscribers. And I had a mission to really try to succeed on the platform. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it would take a lot of work, but I learned a lot in the process of doing it. I learned a lot about how to do things the right way, and I learned a lot about how to do things the wrong way. So I'm going to share both of those things with you. But a lot of you guys know me. Let me tell you a little about myself. A lot of you guys know me as Daniel, the Filmora guy, or Daniel from TubeBuddy, or Daniel from the Tube Ritual Facebook group. But I'm an older cat, man. I'm like 53 now. I've been doing all sorts of things with my life. I was a professional musician for a lot of years. And a lot of those things I brought to the platform, and a lot of those experiences have helped me grow on YouTube. And there's things I learned at a much younger age that prepared me to come to the platform in my advanced aging years with my AARP card in hand and figure out how to get started on this YouTube thing, right? Imagine coming to YouTube in your 50s and deciding, yeah, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I owned a home renovations company my whole life, 35 years, building in the trades. So that was always the thing that really paid the bills for me. So to give that up in this past year, I no longer do that. I'm a full-time content creator now, was a big change for me. And I think a lot of you out there probably have those same ideas. I think a lot of you guys out there want to have a YouTube channel that makes money. Maybe it's not a full-time goal. I think a lot of people I talk to, a lot of creators say to me, I'd love to make money at YouTube. I don't necessarily think it'll be my full-time job, though I think in the back of their heads, they always kind of say like, well, it'd be great if it was. But if I could just figure out a way to be successful, make some money, pay a few bills, right? Potter Country Diggers, you're 50. Yeah, we're not old. We're well, it depends. depends on the room of people we're hanging out with. But yeah, there's been a mentality lately because of the things that have happened recently. You guys are all aware that, COPPA came through. The FTC has been pretty stringent about their attacks. I don't want to call it attacks. Their enforcement on YouTube. And YouTube was hit with a pretty hefty fine. And because of that situation, it put a scare in a lot of people because YouTube has had to change some of the way that it is doing business. And that's affected some channels, but it's not just COPPA. I think community guideline strikes. I think copyright strikes. I think anytime a channel gets in trouble on the platform, the gut feeling is, man, this is really hard. And I don't think that YouTube plays it fair with small creators. There's a lot of talk about why, it's impossible. YouTube is an impossible platform to get ahead on. And I don't really agree with that. And I want to talk to you about that. a little bit. Because there's a thing that happens when everyone starts feeling that way. It's easy for one person to say, you know, that I'm getting channel strikes, or, you know, the YouTube's not recommending my content. They only recommend content of big creators. They don't recommend my content. That's why I don't get views. And people think that the platform keeps them down. And when one person starts really sending that message out, it's easy for a lot of other creators to jump on board, because a negative message has a lot of power. It has a lot of power in it. And when someone tries to tell you that, listen, you know, this is just, you got to get out of YouTube, it's not worth it, they want to kind of take you down with them. If they're struggling, if they're having problems trying to get the success that they want, it's a lot easier to start lashing out at the platform and get other creators to agree with them. Yes, it's not them, it's YouTube. And I will say, listen, from a guy who just came through a community guideline strike that was completely a false positive, it wasn't true, and I was able to get it overturned on the appeal. I know that feeling. I know that feeling of, man, that hurts. That really hurts. So I want to tell you a little bit about my perspective here, because I think perspective is a lot of it. We're going to talk about a few things today about how to get your channels moving in the right direction, how to get your focus put in place so that come 2020, we're about to turn right into a new year here. Opportunity is there. Opportunity is there to do well on YouTube. So I want to get you guys, your mindset situated so that when you start this new year, you can go in refreshed with the right attitude, a positive attitude, and be thinking about YouTube in a way that can get your channel moving forward. All right? Because sometimes we can be our worst roadblocks, right? Our own worst hurdles. If we start feeling like we're overwhelmed, or things are too hard, or that we just can't find the success, then we'll start believing that ourselves, and it's harder to make the videos. It's harder to publish. It's harder to get over a community guideline strike. It's harder to deal with a copyright strike. It's harder to deal with the fact that your videos aren't getting views. Everything just feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I'm here today to try to lift some of that weight. All right. So listen, like I told you guys, I was a professional musician, and I think a lot of people say that. Like, I was a professional musician. I used to play clubs down the street all the time, weddings, and I actually did the, you know, professional musician route. I had a couple major label record deals, and I can remember being a kid. I came from an area where music was really important in my area. I came from the Merrimack Valley area in New England. It was sort of where New Hampshire met Massachusetts. And growing up, a lot of my friends were all into music too. So here's an example. Here's an embarrassing picture from about 30 plus years ago. These two guys right here, two of my buddies, Sully and my buddy Jeff. And there's a very shaggy Daniel who clearly has had this hairstyle for way too long. The guy on the right, my friend Jeff, went on to become he's a singer, songwriter, composer. He's produced music for MTV, for Fox Sports, A&E, Heineken, Volvo, NFL, MLB, Bravo, Habitat for Humanity. He's a really successful music creator and makes music for other platforms. He basically creates all the music you hear on a lot of these other networks. And then the other guy on the left is my pal Sully. He's a really great guy. I don't know if any of you guys recognize him at all. He was a guy who decided to do a different route than the rest of us and said he was going to make music, make his own albums, and then sell them to the record labels, which was a pretty crazy idea at the time. We didn't think that was possible. But nowadays, you guys might know my pal Sully a little better as this guy. He's the lead singer in a band called Godsmack. It's a multi-platinum selling band. They've got 3 #1 albums, and they're just massive. And these are guys who have had huge success by defining the way they were going to find their success forward. And the reason I mention these things is when we were all kids, they all thought I was the guy that was going to be the rock star because I was the one who had the record deal first. I was the guy who sort of was touring before the rest of them. But it was about a different thing then that I want to talk about here was, yeah, that's a lot of hair. You think I got a lot of hair now. When I was a kid, man, it was bigger. But the thing that I talk about nowadays is back then when we were trying to be musicians and we were creators, like being a musician as a creator, it's no different than making videos, making music. You're trying to create something that reaches an audience. But back then there were so many layers between the thing we were creating and the audience we were trying to reach. right? So we had to make this music. We were always hoping that a record label would pick up our band so that we could read. There was no way to reach the audience. They didn't have the internet until the early 90s, and it was very spotty. It was not, it didn't grow to the thing it is now. Back then, we had to have record labels hopefully find us. And then once they found us and signed us, hopefully they would actually distribute our album and push it out there, not just drop it in the shelves of a record store and hope someone would buy it. Records, by the way, are those big round things. Used to put them on a turntable. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. I'm old. So there was these layers of trying to reach people. And then you had to reach people in every street because you had to have people who were there putting the record in front of people and getting it on the radio stations and pushing the radio stations to play the songs that we just released on the album that the record label had just released. It was nothing but an uphill struggle. And most of the time when we signed a record deal, the label would put the money forward for the album, and then you spent the first part of all the money you were making back in sales, giving it to the record label to pay for the album that they made, because they get paid back first. This is a very different thing that we do here on YouTube. And the one thing I want to talk to you guys about is YouTube is a platform that puts you in direct contact with a potential audience, right? Me sitting right here, I'm reaching you through the internet, through YouTube. Bam, I can talk to you guys and tell you exactly the things that are on my mind. I can put videos up that can be presented to you. I don't have any middleman other than YouTube as a platform. And yes, there are restrictions and things that we're going to have to deal with on YouTube, and we'll talk about that. But I want you guys to think about this in a different way. That ability to put content up for free, upload those pieces of content and get it put in front of the audience you're trying to reach is a godsend, right? For a guy like me that came from a background where we had to work so hard to try to get anything that we were creating to be put in front of an audience that might enjoy it, there was so many layers in between that to be a creator right now on YouTube and go, listen, make great content that targets a specific audience and put that audience first, and just make sure that the audience likes the content, they click it and they watch it, and YouTube will recommend it. Across the globe, not just in market by market by market like the old school guy had to deal with, right? It's not like, back in the day I had to get it. Did we get our out? Did the album get pushed out in Washington? What about Virginia? Are they pushing it in Virginia? How about California? What part of California is pushing our album? Are any of the record labels playing it? This is easily, if a video takes off, it can be put in front of a global audience at the snap of fingers. It still amazes me the amount of opportunity that's there. And I know when you start seeing restrictions and you start seeing problems come through, it can feel like, oh my gosh, this is so much harder than I wanted it to be. And especially if you get hit with a tough blow, if you've been doing well and then you get knocked down a peg, that recovery time can be super, super tough. I feel for every one of you. And if you guys, a lot of you guys I know, not just from TubeBuddy, I've met you in person at some of the shows. We're friends on either Facebook or we talk on Twitter. You guys know I'm on Twitter a lot. And I'm always trying to help small creators because I think that we're the future. The way the platform will improve is the better we do our job, the better the platform becomes. If we give the platform better content and it gets pushed out and reaches more people and the people realize that YouTube is a thing that is powerful and isn't going anywhere, then we become the powerful ones. We're the ones. We're the power behind YouTube. It reminds me of like guys like Tony Hawk, who used to be out there skateboarding, back in the 70s, and there wasn't skateboarding as a big thing across, the sporting sphere. They weren't accepted into the Olympics and things like that. They had to start creating their own games, their own X Games and things to bring the sport to the place it is now. Same with snowboarding. If we get out there and we become the ones that drive the platform, if we let people know that being a video content creator is powerful and has opportunity by going out there and creating our own success, that's the thing that makes the platform better for us. And speaking up when things get problematic, man, I'm with you. I know a lot of us have gotten frustrated when things have happened. I personally have helped people when things don't go the way they would like them to go. I've helped creators who have gotten channel strikes that were mistakes. I put them in touch with some of the people I know on the inside to see if we can solve things. I've had those same people help me sometimes. Just the other day, I was talking with D. Niman. He had 65,000 subscribers, and he hadn't gotten channel memberships. And we were able to make some make some connections with the right people and get the memberships option onto his channel. So a lot of times it's about a community and all of us working together and staying positive. It's all about staying positive. Because that's the thing that'll get you through the hurdles when something feels really problematic. I can remember there was a time in my life where I thought music was it, that I had made it, that no matter where I was going to end up, it was going to be music related because of the fact I had had certain successes. Another embarrassing picture of a younger Daniel. This is probably 1990. This was probably about 30 years ago. There's a big-haired younger Daniel, thinner, less gray, on the left with the record label owner, or the CEO, the singer in the band at the time. He plays guitar for the Replacements now. I don't know if you guys recognize the guy on the right. Some of you guys, if you're a fan of Marvel movies, that's Michael Douglas. He plays Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man in the Marvel movies, and he was the guy who actually owned the record label that signed me. It was a division of Atlantic Records called Third Stone Atlantic. He was such a big actor at the time that they gave him his own piece of the record label. He used to, because he was making Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction, all these movies back then that were really big, and they just gave him a whole division to make his own music and sign his own bands. So hanging out back then in LA and getting to meet these great movie stars and living the life and having them buy you dinner and tell you how great your band was, really, I thought that was it. I thought that I had it made. And, I found out the hard way, many bands later and many record deals later, that all went so far and then struggled and then fell apart. And to the point where I finally said, I'm going to try something different. I'm tired of being on the road and not making enough money to barely, pay rent. It can be a struggle. There's a lot of things in the way. The thing I love about YouTube, and I want to try to share with you, is that being on YouTube is a different paradigm. Man, it's a really different paradigm. I've been able to just specifically make the content that I think connects with the people I want to reach. And if I do it right, YouTube is right behind me. They push that content out. I've got videos that have hundreds of thousands of views that continue to drive views. I have videos that drive 800, 900 views every single day that I put out a year ago that continue to get promoted just because it connected in a way that made sense to the audience I was trying to reach. Aiden, Jimmy, good to see you guys. I don't know which one of you is actually in the chat, but it's good to see you. So I want you guys to think about this. I want you guys coming into the new year. I don't know where you were at this previous year, how long you've been on the platform, each of you. Some of you I actually know. But wow, was that a super chat? Get out of town. Jason, thank you. One thing I want to talk about is just the ideas of what you might want to be thinking about going into the next year. Because a lot of you, I think, have said, you know what, either I'm in or I'm out. I'm hoping a lot of you are in. I hope a lot of you want to stay with YouTube and see the opportunity. And I want to help you figure out a path to success. I've done a lot of live streams, both here and on my channel, where I talk about the things you need to know in order to connect with your audience. But I want to talk about some of the things right now that have really been factoring in holding what people think is holding their channel back. And I think sometimes it's things we can address. And if we can address them now, then we can start solving problems in the future. So there's a bunch of, I'm going to break this down into 5 factors, 5 simple factors that I think you can probably relate with. A lot of people wonder why their channel isn't growing. And when I go and I work with channels, I think a lot of you know I'm also a channel consultant. One thing that I always look at is the content itself. And when you're looking at your channel and you say, why isn't my channel growing? One of the first and biggest reasons that your channel usually isn't growing the way you want it to is because the content itself isn't connecting. And I think that's a tough one for a lot of people to absorb and digest. I think that people go, what do you mean it's not connecting? What does that mean? And I break that down really simply. It's just when you publish a new video, YouTube, you might think they're trying to hold you back or not promote your new video when you publish it. But actually the opposite is true. YouTube, when you pop a video up, immediately grabs some of those most active subscribers, just a handful of them, and puts your video in front of them and really wants to see what that audience thinks about your video. So if your video is put in front of people and they don't click, if they happen to scroll past it and go, no, I'm not interested in that, and they go on to some other video, or if they do click and then they watch 10 seconds, 15 seconds and go, no, I'm not interested in it, and they move on to something else, that's YouTube getting the signal that your content isn't connecting with your target audience, the people that you really want to be watching your videos. So that's something that when we talk about analytics, I see people get crazy about what's my CTR and what's my average view duration and what do I know, my retention, how my retention reports, and should I change my thumbnail? And everyone gets so wrapped up. And I always try to simplify it and go, wait. Let's see how your videos are doing. Which videos are connecting? Are there videos on your channel that have gotten more views than others? Let's look at them. What were the topics? What were the titles? How long were the videos? What did the thumbnails look like? How did you package this thing and what was it all about? What did it look like on the outside and what did it feel like on the inside? And why did one of your videos get more views than another? One of the simplest things that you can do as a creator is go right to your own channel, click over to the videos tab, and you can filter the videos that are there, sort them by most popular, and take a look at which videos on your channel have gotten the most views throughout the course of your channel. And you can start to get an idea of, well, this one did better. Why? Why did that video do better and the other one didn't? And it's usually just about the topic, the way you wrote something, the way you wrote the title, the content, the way you made that video was just maybe a slightly better topic. It was a little more compelling. Something in it really grabbed someone who was interested in that particular thing and they went connected. They went, oh, I want to watch that. And it's really as simple as that. And that's so funny because when we were talking earlier about music, right? How do we get people could just hear the music? I know if they could just hear our music, we'd be popular. But this is on YouTube, it's right there. Your content is immediately presented to an audience and they are the judge. One of the harshest things that comes along with that is if the audience is judging you, you have to accept responsibility. You can't, it's easy to blame YouTube. Well, they're not promoting me enough. They're not recommending, but YouTube is recommending content that does well with the target audience. Those happen to be bigger channels a lot of the time because those bigger channels have done the thing really well. They've learned how to connect with their target audience. And that's how you grow a channel. Listen, like I said, a year ago, I was under 1,000 subs. Now I'm, over 40,000 and my content does a lot better now when I upload than it did a year ago because I was much smaller. I hadn't built out a catalog. And when I did put up a video, not enough people really cared about me or my content. If they watch one, they go to my channel. I only had a handful of other videos. So it took a while to really build some traction and gain some trust with the audience I was trying to reach so that they started learning what I was about, what my channel was about. But it was all in my hands. It was always all in my hands. I had the ability to control it. I had the ability to build that thing. And if I did it right, it would do well on the platform. And that's one of the things I want you to talk about. So make sure when you're putting up content, a lot of people throw up videos and they go, well, it didn't get views, on to the next one. Take a breath. If something's not connecting, stop and think about what it is about your content that's not reaching the people you want to reach. Okay? Because those are the things you can take home and go, let me try something a little different here. Let me make a few changes because something's not working. So let me try changing that. Maybe they're not clicking on it enough. Maybe they're not watching long enough. Let me look at them. Let me use the analytics, right? All that data. All it does is tell us if we're connecting with that target audience. So once you go, hey man, my content is doing really well, then analytics mean a lot less because if you put up a video and it starts taking off, analytics is just another way to reaffirm that, your video is doing well, but you don't need analytics to tell you that a video has connected. If you put up a video within the first hour, it's got 1,000 views, you're probably connecting with people. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a compelling way, sometimes in an intriguing way. Could be a lot of things, but the goal in all of this is to make content that when you put it up, people click on it and they watch. All right. So that's the first factor. Think about if your content is connecting. The second thing I want you to think about that I just kind of mentioned a bit, how old is your channel? I see a lot of people come to the platform and they've been here and they go, like, I've been doing everything right. I don't know what's going on. And I've tried all the things that everyone has said. Daniel, I did what you said. I've listened to Brian G. Johnson. I've listened to Nick Nimmin. I listened to Andrew Can, and I'm not growing the way I should. Then I'll go over to their channel and I realize they've got 20 videos, And when I say a channel is new, I don't mean when you started it. I mean how much effort you have invested in that channel. Because you could have started your channel in 2008, but if it's still only got 20 videos on it, it's still a new channel. You haven't put the work in. You haven't built that catalog, right? One of the biggest things I try to talk to you guys about creators when I speak to any of you is think about your channel as more than individual videos, right? Make a package. Make a package that you can sell. If you put all of these videos together and it starts being more than one thing, it will be more attractive to the people that you're trying to reach. Remember this guy I showed you, my buddy Sully? That little smirk, he's still got it nowadays with the beer can in hand. Sully actually made his own album. He built the album, and then he sold it to the record label. He went out and sold 30,000 copies on his own. And he said, I don't need a record label right now. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sell this thing and I'm going to play dates. And he made it so important and so it connected with the people who were interested in his music that the record labels became undeniable. They said, we want you. What do we got to do? And he sold the product to them. So he did it in reverse. Instead of having to owe a record label a lot of money to pay him back for making an album, he already had it. And he said, if you want me, you got to buy the album from me. You got to buy the rights to distribute it. And he still owns all the, the publishing and everything on it. It was an amazing story. But same with us as creators, man. We own this stuff. This is ours. And the audience is right there. And all we got to do is build enough of it so it makes sense. Let's build our own album, right? If your channel is small and you've only got 20 videos, keep making content. And pay attention to whether that content you're putting up is connecting with your target audience, all right? Is it getting views? If it's not, let's see if we can switch it up and do something different. Now, the third factor that I think that stops channels from growing the way they should, and this is part of the content connecting thing, is I think a lot of creators put themselves first. Can anybody admit to this? I used to do this all the time. I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to have another channel before the one I have. It was called Extreme Food Reviews. It was with my son. And, it's got maybe 4,000 subscribers. But all we did was we would eat hot peppers and, hot sauces, and we would amuse ourselves. It was all about us. We thought this was funny. It was a chance for me and my son to have some fun on the platform. It's the thing that got me into YouTube. How you doing, Josephine? Good to see you. Launchpad Astronomy, my friend Christian's here. Good to see you, pal. There's the guy who's connected with his audience. But I used to always put myself first. I made it about me. I talked about myself a lot. I talked about the things I was interested in. I did the things that I thought were amusing. But what I didn't realize was I wasn't creating any sort of value that brought a viewer back day after day. So maybe some viewer would come by and maybe they'd watch me eat a hot pepper and my son eat a hot pepper and watch us sweat, and it was funny. But is that something you want to see 40 times, 50 times? Is that a channel you want to be subscribed to? It's not that you can't. There are channels that do similar things, but you have to have some more value than that. Are any of you guys familiar with the channel Hot Ones? They actually do a hot wing challenge, right? But they do interviews with celebrities and musicians and actors while they're eating hot wings, right? So it's not about just eating the hot wings. It's about this other layer of value where you get to know these celebrities in a very exposed position as they're getting their butts kicked by these hot wings that get hotter and hotter and hotter as they eat each one. And you watch these people that we know very well from movies and music start crying and sweating and swearing. So that's that other element, right? My other channel didn't have that. It didn't have that value. It didn't have that connection. It didn't reach people in a way and provide something that would make them want to come back. So putting yourself first is a mistake. I think you need to put yourself first in terms of priorities of business. You want your channel to grow. That's the meaning of it, right? But when you're making content, I want you to think about someone like my friend Christian at Launchpad Astronomy, right? He talks all about astronomy. He teaches so much about what goes on beyond the planet around us. And anyone who's interested in anything that has to do with astronomy, he's the guy that's on top of that. He makes content that connects with them. He provides them with stuff they want to learn about and know more about. And he always puts their needs first. And that's why channels like his do really well, right? So think about that. Are you putting yourself first? Or are you saying, wait, hang on. Let me see if I can put my audience first. And let me tell you this, one of the easiest ways to figure out if you're putting your audience first, do some keyword research. There's a lot of great videos you've seen from Andrew Can talking about TubeBuddy's keyword research tool. The Keyword Explorer is great for figuring out keywords, which are just things people are talking about. It's just we can learn about things that people are searching or how they're talking, what's relevant to them. So keyword research is really important for learning about the things that are important to the audience, not just to you. So if you're a gamer and you want to learn about, what's the, if I'm playing whatever game you happen to play, my son plays Fortnite, just making a Fortnite video isn't enough. You need to figure out a way to make a Fortnite video that serves a greater purpose than just showing someone you can play the game. Teach them something. Make it a how-to video. If you're going to do a Fortnite, if you're a gamer, do a how-to video, how to unlock a level, how to find this, how to get past this step. Those are things where you've now put the audience first, right? You're still doing the thing you love, but you've put them first and said, I want to show you something. I don't want you to just sit and watch my gameplay because I'm so awesome. I'm going to show you something and teach you so you can be a better gamer. I'm going to teach you something you may not know. That's powerful. That is powerful. That's when you start providing value, right? So think about that. Put that audience first. Another factor that I think that holds channels back from growing is we start talking about these things that they need to do. You know, your content isn't connecting. See if you can get it to connect. Your channel is small and you need to make more videos. You put yourself first. Think about putting the audience first. You start learning all these things that people like me come out and say, hey, let me give you some tips. I think I can help you. But what happens is you don't adapt. You don't take those things in and you don't change the way you work. That's one of the hardest things for creators to do, is to take a giant step back and gain some perspective and say, okay, all right, you know what? I was listening to Daniel and I was listening to Andrew and I was listening to Brian G. Johnson and I was listening to Nick Nimmin, and I started really paying attention, and I needed to step back and go, wait, let me apply that to my channel. Don't just shrug it off and go, I think I'm doing all those things, whatever. I guess YouTube just doesn't like me. You need to learn to always question yourself. Always take a step back and say, hey, can I do a little bit better? D in the chat room. D's another great example. He's a guy who cannot figure out how to get into his own studio, apparently, but he knows how to make a channel that can grow. D's a guy who looks at the things on his channel that connects and says, I'm going to do more of them. And things that really don't connect as much, he tries to phase those out. I know from conversations with him right now, D knows that when he does stuff about dark mode, anything dark mode, when he can teach people on any device how to turn on dark modes and different things, Twitter and anything, he'll show you that. Those videos blow up. And he knows that because he's paid attention to certain topics within his niche. He goes, yeah, I know what really connects. So when any new dark mode things come along, boom, D's right on top of it and says, man, if someone's offering a new dark mode thing, I'm going to make that video tomorrow because I know that my audience loves to know how to do that. He's a big dark mode fan. His soul is black, I tell you. So learning to adapt, right? Take that information in and be able to change your perspective and go, all right, hang on. Something's not working. Let me tweak this a bit. Let me make changes. And when I say adapt, I want you guys to think about this in a very specific way. I think there's so much information out there that when you start learning all this stuff, you don't know where to start. Well, what do I change? Do I change my thumbnails, Daniel? Should I be trying to, make longer videos? Or is my channel art, is that what's holding me back? Or is it what am I doing? What am I supposed to change? My titles? Tell me what to change. I think you have to sort of pick one thing at a time and go, listen, understand that content connecting is the most important thing. So I always tell people the most important thing is stop for a second and think about the actual topics and targets that you're deciding to make videos about. If you can make videos that connect with people, try to do that more often. Try to find those ones on your channel that do a little better. And I don't care if it's one video got 100 views and another video got 160 views. Figure out why the 160 view video was a little stronger. No one will know that more than you. If you can look and be introspective and say, what did I do here? Was it the title was a little better or something? Maybe my thumbnail was a little more colorful and it just got a better click-through rate. You can check all these things and then adapt and go, all right. I'm going to find out what works on my channel and do more of that. And the things that don't seem to work, I'm going to do less of that. And sometimes that's hard because sometimes that involves creators like us having to say, but I really like doing that other thing, man. I had fun. Like I was on a trip last week and I wanted to make a video about being on that trip and put it on my channel. Yeah, but your channel is a cooking channel and you're talking about your trip or your Christmas. And you know what? People who are interested in cooking, they probably don't care about your trip or your Christmas party. It's fun. It's hard. But I think as a small channel, especially small channels, you really want to focus on just making content that serves the audience, serves that target audience. Now, as you grow and as you get bigger, you can push out and you can try different things and you can try expanding those walls. But I think most people I talk to, when I talk to them, a lot of the audience I talk to have trouble just trying to get 1,000 views out of a video. And that's not every one of you. Some of you guys have channels that do really well. But the majority of creators I talk to go, yeah, I don't usually hit 1,000 views in the first day of my video or the second day or the first week. I have some that may have hit it, but I wrestle to get past 100 views the first day or 200 views the first day. And those are the things that really you should put all your focus on. Do you know when you go into YouTube Studio Beta? Well, it's not beta anymore, right? I guess we just call it YouTube Studio. When you first put out a video, right there in the dashboard, it shows you how your new video ranks as compared to your last 10, right? It'll give you data immediately, which is super powerful. Do this. Make a game of this. When you put those videos out, see if you can get your newest video to be in like the top 3 or top 5. Make sure when you're putting out videos, they're not coming in number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you put out a bunch of videos that keep coming in those positions, that means you're slowly not connecting with your audience. They're ranking lower and lower every time they're published. And every time you put out a video, YouTube pays attention to your audience and how they react to it. So if your audience isn't enjoying that content, if they're not gobbling it up and eating it, then what happens is those particular videos don't get recommended as much. And often what happens is your next video, before you even publish it, are going to be served out to a smaller group of active subscribers because not many people are watching the content that you're putting out there. They keep coming in lower and lower positions. So turn that into a game. See if you can smack that high number. I treat it like an arcade game. I want high score. If I put out a video, I want to be number 1, number 2, number 3. I want to know that I keep improving because my channel should be growing in a way that every month I should have more people that potentially know who I am. I should have a bigger reach. I should have the ability of a newer video to beat an older video because my channel has grown in that time. I should be stretching out and reaching a broader portion of my target audience. So to say, well, maybe that's unfair to expect every video to rank high. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Hold yourself to those standards and go, you're right, Daniel. I'm going to make that a game. I'm going to make sure every video I put out ranks in the upper section of the dashboard in the first 24 hours, the first 48 hours. And if they're not, I'm going to change the way I do things. I'm going to take a deep look at what I'm putting out today and figure out why it's not connecting. Because that's all it is, right? That connection is so important. YouTube is just putting it in front of your target audience, and then it's letting them be the judge of whether or not you're making great content that connects. And I don't want you to beat yourself up too much because a lot of times you can make a great video that just doesn't work with your target audience. Like you put a lot of effort into it, you worked really hard, but it just didn't connect. And I don't want you to go, well, I'm working as hard as I can. I don't want you to work harder. I want you to work hard, but I want you to work smarter. I want you to think about your channel. I want you to let your channel give you the signals of what you're doing right. Your channel will speak to you, and you can adapt what you're doing based on your channel telling you, that video got a lot of views. Why don't you make another one like that? Okay, that's what I'll do. So adapting, very important, really important to figure out how to adapt to the things that you start learning along the way. Because this is one of the biggest problems about adapting is I think a lot of creators don't figure out how YouTube works until it's too late, until they're already beat down and they're already nervous about what they're going to do next, and they think that it's YouTube holding them back. One of the biggest problems that I've seen with creators is that creators want YouTube to work the way they think it works instead of learning the way it works and then applying that to their methodology, right? I think that when I hear people say, hey, listen, YouTube only pushes big videos forward. They only take those big channels that make them money, and those are the ones they promote. It may feel that way, and there might be a little bit of truth to that. I mean, I'm not going to, tell you that, big channels with a lot of authority don't get maybe a little extra love sometimes here and there, but we get extra love too. Did you ever notice when you put up a new video, it actually gets that new tag next to it? One thing that YouTube found out doing data research, they used to try to do this. This is an interesting story. YouTube used to always, let's say you were someone who watches, you're the crazy cat person. I love cats, but if you're the crazy cat person and you watch a lot of cat videos, right? Hey, Aaron Jameson, how you doing, pal? If you watch a lot of cat videos, YouTube used to go, okay, this person likes cat videos. Let's give them a ton of recommended cat videos. Well, what they found out is if they just kept feeding that person similar content, that person tended to watch fewer videos and spend less time on the platform than if they gave them a variety of content to pick from. Isn't that crazy? YouTube actually came out and said this. So learning that, you should know that you are out there existing on a platform that really wants people to get a variety of different things. So, you know, your stuff can show up in places that you may not think it'll show up, because another viewer who may have watched one of your videos may have watched something else, may have watched Launchpad Astronomy, some astronomy channel. And that next viewer who watches yours might get recommended some of the Launchpad Astronomy stuff just to test it out, to say, hey, maybe this viewer is a little bit like the last viewer. Let's see if they have anything similar here. The last person watched this one. And YouTube is always testing to see how they can give you a variety of things based on what you've watched, your own watch history, but also similar viewers. They're trying to figure you out as a viewer too. So what we want to do when we're thinking about making content and putting it up on the platform, try to understand how YouTube works. YouTube takes a video, puts it in front of a very small amount of people, and sees how they react. If those people react positively, click, they watch for a decent amount of time, maybe they go on to watch another one of your videos, and they stay on platform, your video will be recommended more. That's it. It's that simple. So understanding that's how it works, instead of saying, well, they didn't recommend my video, so, you know, YouTube doesn't like me. No, YouTube did recommend your video. It just didn't connect. And that's why your video didn't take off. When it was recommended, it didn't get the results back that would encourage more recommendation. So we have to own that and go, all right, okay, I get it. It was me. My video, I thought it was great, but the people it was put in front of, something didn't connect. Maybe the thumbnail wasn't that strong. Maybe the title wasn't that strong. And then try to adapt to that. There's another piece of this equation that I want you guys to understand. You're not always just competing against the entirety of YouTube. And I think some people think that, right? You go like, hey, it's all of YouTube against me, right? I know you guys feel that. I've talked to some of you and you've been like, oh man, how am I going to compete against these big channels? Well, guess what? You don't necessarily have to compete against the entire platform. You only really have to compete against yourself. If you've ever noticed, if you've had a video that you've uploaded that started doing better than some of your previous videos, YouTube will jump on board and recommend it more. Think about that. YouTube recognizes that one of your videos performed better than your other videos, not other people's. It recognized that your video started to do better than some of your other videos. And it'll start telling you right in your dashboard, hey, something's going on. People are clicking this more. People are watching this more often, right? And that's what's really starting to connect. Right in the chat right now, Jameer Games says, how do videos go viral, right? I'll tell you how they go viral. YouTube takes a video, puts it out in front of a very small amount of people, and those people love it. They click it when it comes across their screen, which could be them coming to YouTube and it shows up on a homepage, or it could be recommended in a feed if they happen to be subscribed to that channel. Those people click it faster than they do a different video. They see it and they go, oh, stopping right here, I'm going to click, that looks great. And then they watch it, and they watch it for a long period of time. And YouTube goes, oh, look at this. This small amount of people loved this video. Let me take it and put it to a slightly larger audience, and let's see what they think about it. And when that next group of people clicks it more often and watches it more often, YouTube pushes it out farther. And the faster that starts gaining momentum, push it out to more people, more people. Do they love it? Push it out to more. Do they love it? Push it out to more. Do they love it? Videos that take off are ones that keep sending back strong signals to YouTube. Period. Viral videos do not happen because someone bought ads on YouTube. That's not how it happens. Viral videos don't happen because the video was crappy, but the person who put the video up just happened to be really, well known and important. Because if people clicked on it, only watched a little bit of it, and then clicked away and went, oh, I like this guy, but this video wasn't particularly great. YouTube recognizes that too. So it happens on both ends, not just us as small creators, but the large creators have that happen too. Listen, if Logan Paul puts out a video or PewDiePie puts out a video that just doesn't do well out of the gate, YouTube will recommend that video less. Period. And that's the truth. It hits all of us. No matter what your channel size is, we all play by the same rules. Our videos are going to be put in front of a small group of people, a percentage, I should say a small percentage of the people who are subscribed to our channel. And then YouTube starts gathering data on what the viewer thought about it. Now, someone who's a huge creator, right? A huge creator. The reason it feels like they have an advantage, like they're being recommended more, is because they've got a much bigger subscriber base. So that small percentage of viewers for them, if they say, I will put it in front of, 5% of your viewers. Well, if you've got 1 million subscribers, 5% of your viewership is really a lot of people. And YouTube can gather a lot of data very quickly. And if it can gather that data and it's positive data, they'll act on it quickly, right? A lot of us are smaller channels. I consider anyone who's under 50,000 subscribers a small channel. I'm a small channel. Some people would say 100,000 subscribers, still a small channel. But the smaller channel that you are, the longer it takes for more people to watch the video, the percentage that the video will be put in front of when it's first published, right? You publish that video, my small percentage of my audience, my most active subscribers, is a lot smaller number of people than, Casey Neistat when he was putting out videos, right? His small percentage of people, his video would get served to a lot more people because he's grown the channel that big, and those are the active subscribers. Those are the people who have clicked the bell, they've subscribed, they've done all that. They've grown to that point that when a video gets published, that video gets put in front of more people only because it's a similar percentage. It's just a much larger pool that it's grabbing that percentage from. Does that make sense? Does that make sense out there? So don't think about a big YouTuber having a definite advantage. I've seen a lot of big YouTubers crash and burn. A lot of them. I've seen them burn themselves out because they worked too hard and they didn't pace themselves. I've seen a lot of them lose focus and lose connection with their audience. I can remember, some of you might have seen the story. I think Shane Dawson came out there and he talked about Graveyard Girl. She was one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform and just started shedding subscribers by the tens of thousands. And she had to work her way back as she just got to the point where she had become self-conscious. She didn't feel that she had the connection anymore. And all that very first thing, your content is you're connecting. It's the very first thing I mentioned up here. Even if you're someone with millions of subscribers and you may have been the biggest person on the platform, if your content stops connecting, you're going to start falling into a downward spiral. Every one of us, regardless of the size of our channel, has to say, listen, it's not about YouTube. It's about me and the people out there that are watching. I need to make sure that they're liking what I'm putting out there, that they're clicking on my thumbnails. Once they click, that they are watching a good percentage of my videos. Because if they're not watching a good percentage, even after they click, that's going to send back bad signals. So we can look at our data and go, all right, maybe I can improve the average view duration, right? Maybe I can do something to really hold on to these people once they've watched my content and not let them shake free. Right? Because that's one of the biggest things I see creators make the mistake is that they think, oh, if I can just get them to click and get the view count is the most important thing. Let me tell you something. Not all views are created equal. And this is super important. The reason that not all views are created equal is because if a viewer happens to click on your video and it got let's say it got 50,000 views, but all of those views, most of those viewers, 15 seconds in, 20 seconds in, went away. They went, it's just not that great. It was a really great thumbnail and a cool title. I clicked, so it counts as a view, but I didn't watch for very long. That video is going to perform overall a lot worse on the platform than a video that someone clicked and watched a good percentage of because they liked the content, because the viewer saw the value. The content connected with that person, right? That's the goal. If you're a gamer out there and you've got a gaming channel and you feel like, man, I'm doing the thing that I think everyone else is doing, you probably aren't. There's something you're missing. You're not connecting. Just making the video isn't enough. You have to go, are my target audiences, the people that are out there I'm trying to reach, are those viewers loving my stuff? And am I holding them? Am I grabbing them and holding them? Another thing I want to mention, hey, Susie, good to see you. One thing I want to mention, when I talked about you don't necessarily have to compete against the entire platform, I can't tell you how true that is. The highest performing video on my channel was filmed with a 4, 5, 6-year-old Samsung Galaxy S6 with a crack in the screen, and it's got an average view duration of about 34%. But it still drives 800-900 views a day. It's got over 300,000 views, and it continues to do great. It does great numbers. And people will say to me, well, how's that possible, Daniel? We've learned you have to have great average view duration, right? People have to want to watch a lot of your video. That's true, but you have to understand that that's also in perspective of your niche, right? I happen to make a lot of tutorials on teaching people how to use Filmora. So if I put a video out there that does pretty well, if someone is only watching half of it or a third of it, but it's, a pretty decent length of a video, maybe it's a 9-minute video and they're watching only 3 minutes, it feels like, wow, you should be doing better. And I do strive to do better. But if that video is exploding for views and keeps getting recommended, what that tells me is other videos that it's competing against in the similar niche, talking about Filmora, those ones don't get great average view duration. I start learning about the viewer behavior, because if one of my videos is doing really well with lower metrics, that tells me that it's still getting recommended. So other similar videos that it might be competing against or in that niche, viewers have a specific habit. It's like they come in, they learn what they want to learn, and they're out, and they're gone. They leave. So all that matters to me is my videos only have to do a little bit better than the competition. And the way I know that's happening is by learning about my channel, right? Look into your analytics. If you have a video on your channel, do this. Go into your analytics. If you have a video on your channel that is doing really well and it doesn't have a really strong average view duration, there's a couple of reasons. Pick that one out and take a look at it. Figure out what the topic was, because you can start learning more about that audience. I bet you'll find some that did really well on your channel, but the numbers don't quite add up. They don't quite make sense. We see this with CTR. People get freaked out about getting a high CTR. Like, oh, I get a 22% CTR. Well, how many impressions? Well, 1,000. That's not a very high CTR because it hasn't been put in front of a lot of people. Someone like Mr. Beast, who gets 12 million views on a video, he's got a lower CTR. He's got maybe fours, around 4%, 4.5, because it gets put in front of so many people that a lot of people choose not to watch because it's being put in front of so many people that not all of those viewers are the right fit for it. YouTube is recommending the heck out of it, knowing that it was really strong with a bunch of viewers, so they're going to try it in front of other people, but that doesn't mean that it's the perfect fit. So start looking at some of those numbers in a different light. Don't get hung up on, well, my AVD is not long enough, my average view duration. Oh, well, my audience retention isn't long enough. That's what's holding me back. I know why this video didn't do well. It had a low AVD or it had a low audience retention. Think more about the content itself. And content starts with your thumbnail, goes through the title, and then into the video itself. Think about those three pieces of the puzzle. If you can simplify going into 2020, I want all of you to simplify, shrug off all of these analytics, shrug off anything that might have been a problem for you this past year, and I want you to stay positive, because this is how, if you're a small channel, you're going to be able to grow. I want you to start looking at your channel and thinking about what is not connecting with your audience. Which videos on your channel are really not performing well, and which ones are performing better. Now, some of you might be out there thinking, but Daniel, all of my videos have been sucking. I can't get anything to connect. And I've been there too, so don't feel alone. If you have all of your videos on your channel, I want to say this. In most cases, when I go to a channel that has a lot of videos, there's always some standouts. So a lot of times when someone says, well, none of my videos have really been connecting, I'll go to that channel and I'll see that you only have 20 videos up, and I'll say, well, problem number one is you're still young. It was that second thing we talked about, right? When I talked about the channel being too new. If you're number two, if your channel is so new, you've only got a little bit of content out there, take that into consideration and go, all right, Daniel, I got perspective now. You're right. I haven't built enough. I got to build more. But I want you to think about if you've made a lot of content, then none of it's really getting much views. Go look at another similar channel. Go find someone in your niche that you think is similar to yours. I'm not saying identical, but something that has something in common that you go, I kind of feel like I'm somewhat like that channel. We do a somewhat similar thing, and see which videos on their channel is doing well. Run over to their channel, pull it up, click on their videos tab, sort their videos by most popular, and start getting some information. Start learning from your competition. What did he make? What did he make that got 200,000 views? How long was his video? How's he doing his video structure? Is he starting with a big long intro like I am? No, he's not. Maybe he's getting right to the content faster. Does his thumbnails look like mine? No, his look a little brighter. They get a little more pop. All right, maybe I need to work on my thumbnails some more. How does he do his titles? Is he putting the keywords up front? Is he being really compelling? Is he using a lot of caps? Are they really long titles? Are they shorter? You can learn a lot by looking at other people in your niche who are connecting with their target audience and then emulating the things that they do right? Steal. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm giving you permission. Steal from other creators. There's that old line about amateurs borrow, pros steal. And I'm not saying steal their content. I'm not saying download their videos and put them onto your channel. That will get you thrown off. What I'm saying is learn from them. If you see them covering topics that you think that are similar to your niche, that you could do a good version of, something similar, then do it. Then do it. I've had people come to me and say, would you be offended if I did some Filmora tutorials? And I said, hell no. I said, if you need advice, give me a call. I'll tell you what works for me. Feel free, If you see some subjects on my channel that you'd like to cover, go for it. Man, there's room on this platform for everyone. I think there is an audience out there for every channel. Some channels are going to have more opportunity. That's just going to happen, right? There's some channels that are going to just naturally have a larger potential audience to reach. And I think that's another thing you need to take into consideration, right? If you've got a very specific niche, right? If you're talking about very specific mechanical components of, whatever, telegraph, 1930s telegraph, machinery, and that's your passion, maybe your potential reach overall is not going to be as big as someone who's doing a cooking channel, right? Because it's more specific, it's more niche down. And that's fine. I think that there's an audience for everyone. And if you just become the best that you can be in your niche, you'll find success. You're thinking about the whole planet. Our content gets put out in front of the entire world without a wall between us and them. There really isn't. We upload for free to YouTube. And if YouTube, doesn't have any problems with, if we haven't, got any community strikes or copyright strikes, if we're making good original content, YouTube will put that out in front of the small amount of people, the most active subscribers, and it'll let them be the judge of whether we're going to be recommended on the platform. So now we go, oh, well, this is great. Let's do that. That's what we want to do. We all have the same hurdle to overcome, which the biggest one I want you to embrace is connecting with your target audience. YouTube is not out to get you. If you do have issues on the platform, take a deep breath. Learn from me. Take a deep breath. I was so upset when I woke up with a community strike. I'm like, what? What are they accusing me of? But I caught my breath and I went, instead of freaking out, let me digest this and figure out the right way to respond and use all the things that are on the platform so that I can file an appeal and hopefully get this overturned, which I did, and it worked out. Staying positive, going, okay, I'm not going to let this drag me down. I'm going to move through it. And I've said this before, your ability to deal with things as they come at you, that's going to define how you move forward on the platform, all right? So if you have any kind of hurdle, if you're not getting the views you want, if you're not getting recommended the way you want, if you get community strikes, if you get a copyright strike, stop. Take a look. Why am I getting a strike? Did I use music I wasn't supposed to use? Did I break some kind of rule here that I need to be more familiar with? Do I have some adapting to do? Do I have some learning to do so that I can get around this, get past it, and then I can move forward and not have that happen again? That power is in your hands, man. It's right there. It's right there. You make the content. The audience is there waiting for it. You just need to connect with that audience. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Listen, I'm going to stop here. I think that I've said what I had to say. I thank so many of you for hanging out and dealing with the fact that sometimes these streams go down and I have to come back and do them again. But I hope that made sense to you guys. And I hope that you guys all go into 2020 with a feeling of opportunity. If I can take my channel from 900 subs to over 40,000 subscribers in a year, then every one of you can do that and more. All right. You just have to stay positive, stay focused, and make sure that your channel finds the target audience and puts them first and serves their needs. Do that. And this time next year, you'll be looking back going, I'm a successful YouTube content creator, just like I am. All right. I love all you guys. I hope you guys have a great new year. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you got a lot of toys to make great new videos with. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments section when this video reposts. I always come back. I always start answering questions in the comments afterwards because there's some things I didn't catch along the way. And I want to make sure that if you do have questions, I'm here for you. And you can always reach me on Twitter, or you can you can book time with me through my website, danielbatal.com. I'm easy to find, or come to my channel and check out some Filmora videos. We love you over there too. All right, guys, it's been great, and I hope you guys have a great holiday. Peace.